Ew, it's May the 27th, 2015. I'm Dana Durnford, also known as the Nuclear Proctologist.org, and you can find these videos at Beautiful Girl by Dana on YouTube. And so we got some questions tonight for everybody. And the big question, before I say hi to everybody, is, do I get serious? It's May the 27th, 2000. It's hard when you're in a yellow shirt to answer that question, I'm sure. But do I stop with the antiques? Do I go for the suit and the tie? The suit and the tie and the crew cut and the waxed eyebrows, nose job. See what I mean? That's what I mean. Do I cut out the weird stuff that comes out of my friggin' mouth? That only comes out of my mouth like that because I'm flabbergasted by how demented the whole friggin' nuclear industry actually truly is. You know, it's something I struggle with a lot. The nuclearproctologist.org, I'm uploading pictures. I think there's 1,100 pictures up there now or so. Yeah, since yesterday. Do I stop using that voice? Since yesterday. That's another question. See, I can't even. It's like I switch on. And I don't think about it. But when I think about how the media people can interpret that who don't know me and don't know any better and don't understand, you know, it's such an important subject. It's not like we're talking about celebrities or sports or, right? It's not like we're talking about stuff like that. We're talking about an extinction level event playing out. My goodness. And it seems like the world has gone mad. Like they want more nuclear in order to try to drown out the issues from Fukushima, all this posturing. And so like people like Jay Cullen and Ken Buesseler, well, I might put salacious headlines up there. I wouldn't hurt a hair on their head personally. I'd be too busy beating away at the side of their head. But I wouldn't hurt the hair. You know, with my tongue, yelling at them. Not beating at them. But that's what I mean, right? Because a lot of people don't understand the slangs that I use because it's so unique. It comes out of this little tiny, itty bitty spot on the planet, and just a handful of people that live there. And so you kind of get your own dialect. It's nonchalant. And so the big problem is, you know, okay, Stacy, Dana, well, I keep doing that. I don't know what the context is. How's Wiz kidding? Jamie, Miss Milky loves me style. Don't change. And hi, everybody. You know, it's a serious question. You know, I think the humor that I have and the connotations that I use are, you know, a manifestation of what I do, of being on the ocean for 8 months, 9 months. And like, you know, I come home and I got to unload the boat. I got to take everything off the boat after 5 months, 160 days on the expedition for life. I got to clean everything and scrub everything and get everything, you know, just basics. And get everything in my home and wash everything and launder everything and get my own life back together. And at the same time, you know, when I'm uploading pictures, I can't do anything on the internet because that takes up all my bandwidth. Right? And so I'm stuck here, twiddly-dee, twiddly-dum, waiting for 100 pictures, which is 700, 800 megabytes, and takes an hour and a half, 2 hours to upload. And that if there's a blurb or if I use the internet and gets kicked off, I got to go back and count through all those pictures on this little tiny frame and find out where I left off and go into the folder and get rid of those pictures because the way they're uploaded, you can't get a full screen. And so you got to count each picture, and then you got to come back into your web page and count each picture and try to find the right picture where you left off. Otherwise, the system rejects it. And so just trying to upload pictures is a nightmare. And I got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. And it takes all day just to get 500 or 600 or 700 up. And so that's the part people don't understand. You know, they don't get that I have to sit here all day. Nobody's going to pay me anything, or nobody's going to help me, or nobody's going to say, good job, Dana, blah, blah. Not that that matters. It's just that people don't understand that whole picture. And even though what I'm telling you, you still can't appreciate how mind-numbing it can get. Trying to figure out that web page and trying to keep up with all the latest technology to make sure I get everything right on the page, and that the page is designed. So when I put up a picture, the pictures are formatted 5, 6, 7 different ways for your PDA. Not that anybody ever uses that anymore, but for your tablature, your smartphone, your big screen, your gigantic screens, your projectors. So it's formatted for each of these devices. It recognizes the device. So your web page has to send me some data. It has to send me around 28 bits of information for my system to be able to give you a proper picture. I have to know the size of your screen, the make of your computer, and so like all websites work that way, not just Dana. Hi, broken ass. Hey, buddy. That's me, buddy, up in the Charlottes. Corey. He's good people too. Good friend. Good man to have on your side. Solid too. Make a good blogger. Ever get past what everybody else deals with? No different than anybody else, or even me. When back in the day. You know, the pictures are going up on the site hardcore. It'll be non-stop for the next several weeks. Say 3 weeks, hopefully. And then I'm going to be running north again. Some part of me, anyway. I'm not sure. See, that's what I mean by me. Because I say some part of me, but how can some part of you run north? And Dana and the rest of you is going to stay here? Is that how that works, Dana? So, I mean, like, I know how people can conceive what I say to them and what I say to them. I should, 15. I'll let that stream... let me close that down. I smurfed that up. Let me refresh that. We might get a little blurb on your end, folks. Don't panic. Don't panic. It's just Dana refreshing his page. So I got a rather interesting one for everybody tonight. I'm just going to run through the reactors. Hi, Random, Miss Milky, Toxic, Brita. I'm your author. I can't pronounce your name. I'm going to have to sit there and draw it out. Broken Ass Islander says he's a big fan of Miss Milky, and rightfully so. Miss Milky says, thanks, broke ass. War Prophet. Corey's a hard worker, folks. He's solid. War Prophet. Everybody else. So let me get busy, because I know this could... It was an impromptu stream tonight. I'm just worn out from trying to get the website to work. Trying to get the light boxes to work for everybody so you can click on the picture and it opens up and you can actually see it. Little things, you know, that make life really, you know, a lot easier to deal with. And so the pictures are in 100, say 100, whatever. I'm not counting, right? So I'm just guesstimating 100, and they go into a folder and I upload that whole folder at the one time. And hopefully nothing goes wrong and I don't got to go back in, but that's what's been happening. And so I'm just going to assume that's going to keep happening until I get my act together and figure out what it is. But there's an amazing amount of work to get done in the next 3 weeks. It'll be non-stop for me. I don't got no time for anybody or anything else. I can't be out researching on the net while I'm uploading pictures. So I'm isolated. And don't worry, Dana, it'll be fine. I couldn't get through everything I got on one computer, let alone all my computers. I got terabytes and terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of data from over the years. It's not like I'm going to run out of shit, okay? To look at or read or watch or listen to. So that's Shuna 1. Dana. 100% meltdown, melt through, melt out. Unit 2, same bloody thing. Unit 3, whoopee-doo, of course, same thing, right? Unit 3, except, it's kind of missing large chunks of the building. Okay, well, it's missing the building, whatever. Look at this. You think that's that's Unit 4. So the reason they all look like that is because they blew up. I know that's probably the first time you ever heard that. You won't hear it from mainstream media. They won't show you those pictures. They won't explain it to you like I do, or like we do, or like a normal person would do. That's Unit 4 inside. See, I can't help it. I blow up laughing every time I look at it. Okay, let me get this straight. Well, let me run through that one more time. Okay, so this building, yeah, it went kaput. But inside of it, through the marvels of Tipco, the roof and the walls are all fine. That's a bit of a melon scratcher. And that's the official pictures. Yeah, that's the official picture. They're taking the fuel rods out. Well, like, if I'm looking at that and I never know about Japan, and they're saying they're doing the most dangerous part of the operation, they're taking the fuel rods out, and I'm watching the picture here, and I'm like, I don't get it. Now, if someone was to show me, say, both pictures alongside of each other, can I do that, Dana? I screwed it up. I'd be like, I'm not sure how that figure up there goes. Where does he fit into that building there? Now, you see that extension cement truck? That's a cement truck, right? And they had to fly 4 of those in from Russia. Because no big deal. Yeah? Okay, well, before I get going, I'm not even going yet, but before I get going, I want you to think about that red pumper. Now, do you think that that's pumping it directly into the reactor? Fuel pools, stuff like that. All the reactors got that going on. So, there's no one stood there and climbing up there, and there's no one on the roof. No one can get close to it, not even a helicopter. But the media told you that they poured the water in there and then they had to vent off the steam. Nobody went in there and vented nothing. You don't need to vent something. You might need to invent something, but you don't need to vent something in a building that's full of holes. And that blew up and blew everything inside of it out of the building. But somehow, through craziness, they come out and they told you that the building below, the interior, is inside of the building over there. Now, these buildings, the detonations, the towers you're seeing, they're 700-800 feet high. And these were kabooms. These were real booms. And, like if this was your house and that blew up, do you think you would go in and find one of your bedrooms or the kitchen or the bathroom or something that would be pristine and gorgeous and wouldn't have any kind of effect, wouldn't have any smoke damage? Now the smoke damage from this thing here coming up will kill you. You stand close to the smoke inside it, you try to get inside of that building, you're going to kill you. You can't get in there. You ain't never getting in there. Nobody alive today will ever go in that building. Period. Unless they're homeless and nobody knows what to do with the bodies. We do know hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands are missing. Most likely tens of thousands have been killed, murdered, homeless people. You won't see Harvard in that building, around that building. You're not going to see Yale scientists. You're not going to see any nuclear scientists on the planet saying we're here at ground zero. Okay? It's just not going to happen. Ken Buesseler and Jay Cullen are not even nuclear scientists. They got no academic studies on nuclear reactors or anything else. They're a nuclear PR firm's pet lapdogs. And everything they tell you is designed to deceive you and make it impossible to have a conversation with you. Make it Make it so that because you're talking about a sitting professor, Jay Cullen, a sitting professor who's teaching our children, molesting our children, eating our children, is telling you in 2013 that these buildings were okay, that they didn't melt down, that they didn't blow up, that there was no releases. When Harvard and Yale and Berkeley, at least they told you, they blow up, they caught fire, they melted down within 4 days. They told you that. But the sitting professor, Jay Cullen, mass murderer. Now, Jay Cullen got his kick at Woods Hole Oceanography. That's where he got his start to. And he used to be the guy who would, I won't say it anyway. That's the point of why I said at the beginning of this video, there's a lot of things I probably shouldn't say, and I got to control myself. A little bit. Maybe. Look, I'm just going to jump gears. Jump gears. And these stories are May the 26th. I know, 2015. That's a long time ago for most people. Yesterday. Yesterday, Dana? Keeping an Illinois nuclear plant open. Think about what's at stake. Think about it. Well, according to the mayor, Byron, I know firsthand, he says, of the significant impact Byron generating station has on my community and our family. And it injects millions annually into the local economy and provides 75% of the funding for local schools. But most importantly, it employs 860 people. So he doesn't care the fact that each of these reactors' fuel pools are hemorrhaging 120,000 liters into the community because they boil off the water, 120,000 liters worth. That's the average into the community, full of radioactive materials, radioactive up to 2,000 elements. The rods were taken out of the reactor, now they're fragile. Now they got all these micro cracks into them, millions. And these cracks are releasing the atoms. You can put 1 million atoms on the head of a needle, you can't see it. Does that mean it's not there? No. But those atoms, because they were ionized and radiated and had extra electrons added to it through the neutron bombardment, meant you change the property of it, and basic layman's term, it will give you a cancer. Now that cancer might not manifest for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years in that particular community. Or it might manifest when the child is born from the parent who was ingesting it, and it does. And that the average around a nuclear reactor is 15% more leukemias and cancers and autoimmune deficiencies. And there's up to 1,800 of these associated with radiation. But see, the mayor's like, well, you're going to kill the community. And I'm like, if you have a meltdown, you're going to kill that entire state. You're going to radiate it till the end of time. And if you have a flood, you can't get in there with a truck, with your pumps, and solve your problems. And if you have a meltdown, you can't do jack shit. You have to leave your community anyway. And the fact that you have all that waste there means you shouldn't even have a community there. And the fact that you're boiling all that water, 1 million gallons a minute, and killing all those critters, and there's billions of critters in a glass of water, times 1 million gallons a minute, times 1,440 minutes a day, times 365 days a year, times the lifespan of this thing. And you're boiling all the larvae and the small fries and the eggs and the bacteria in that water. And not only that, you're releasing radioactive materials constantly into the community because there's nobody on the planet has any way of storing it. Not in Russia, not in China, not in Japan, and not in Canada, not in any other nuclear killer on this planet can you store that stuff. And so you're murdering people. But you're going to justify it because they're going to give you big dollars to get out there and suck somebody's tit for, come on, man, you got to keep the nuclear plant there. We got to keep these jobs. Like, you guys are all criminals, every one of you, and you don't understand it. You're not capable of it because all you think about is the money going in your pocket. But you know it's deadly. You know it's bad. You know it's wrong in every context of the word. He said, I urge members of the General Assembly to act now and vote yes on the low carbon portfolio standard. It's not low carbon. You had to kill a mountain. You had to displace all these people in that community. You had to use all these trucks. There's a nuclear power plant today that just finally got its first start after 36 years of construction. That's an inconceivable amount of time, an inconceivable amount of money, an inconceivable amount of taxpayers' money being forfeited till the end of time just to deal with the nuclear waste. You'll never stop spending money to deal with the nuclear waste. You'll never stop spending money on the healthcare if you're honest, but you're not. So when you look at like all the mining, just what's, the Navajo natives have over 500 abandoned uranium mines. What do you think those mines run on? They run on trucks and diesel and coal and gas and oil and generators. And they got all these equipment and all these people driving to work all day long, and all they do is burn carbon, and carbon grows plants. So if you don't produce carbon, you're fucking bad. Period. You're the worst thing imaginable. Why would you sequester carbon when plants and humans and everything else on the planet cannot even survive without it? So he urges members of the General Assembly to act and vote yes on the low carbon portfolio standard. This is where they're going to game everything else there by saying they don't produce pollution. And by using the key word of carbon, it's the global warming. There's major global warming from all the radiation releases on the planet because the atom doesn't stop putting out energy till the end of time. Hang on. Hang on. You got 4 melted reactors alone in Japan. What do you think they're doing? Where are you to? Come back here. This stuff goes up in the atmosphere. It might not rain out for 20 years. These particles are pure energy. This is only based up on a single release from a single reactor for a few days. It's not based up on the ongoing, constant, perpetual, never-ending, mass murdering machine that is hemorrhaging. It's not bleeding. It's hemorrhaging. It's an emergency. It's vital that we deal with it. And keep going. By the way, you see all that stuff? This is what our new drinking water standards in Canada looks like. Tritium, now see, we don't do it in liters, it's supposed to be in cubic meters, and there's 1,000 liters in a cubic meter. So it's 1,000 times 7,000 becquerels of tritium with a 12-year half-life. So when you're a hot tub, you got 7 million becquerels of man-made stuff. Your children are getting a bath in about 3 million becquerels of man-made radiation. It's the stupidest thing imaginable. So I don't know what that mayor is talking about. Let me get going here. But all those, they're all man-made radioactive isotopes that have been added to the drinking water standard in Canada since Fukushima. U.S. Energy Department yet to release environmental documents on potential German waste shipment. Why is the Americans taking the German waste? Because Germans don't know what to do with it. There's nobody on the planet knows what to do with it, and it's killing everybody everywhere it goes. And so they keep moving it to other places, so not too many people dies in a single place. There's no such thing as a waste site. They're holding sites. It should be noted that even after the final environmental assessment is complete, it does not constitute a DOE decision to accept or not these fuels. The liquid radioactive uranium from Atomic Energy Canada Limited Chalk River Laboratory were processed at the site's H Canyon plant because Canada don't know what to do with it. A federal official signed a notice of intent in May to prepare a German-funded environmental assessment and shipping 455 storage casks across the Atlantic Ocean. You don't get storms down there in the Atlantic, the roughest ocean on the planet. So everything about nuclear is risk. Canada is the stupidest country on the planet. We built all those reactors because the American couldn't build anymore because of the blowback. So Canada built it for them and just plugged it in and sent it over there. Nuclear testing victims dubious about the commission. Gee, I wonder why. Have we ever seen this is the Marshall Islands, I think, hang on. Yeah, the head of the organization, French Polynesians. As far as we're concerned, we will be speaking with a very loud voice because we had enough of all these lies. 40 years of lying. The commission lied for 40 years and said no one got harmed. If you do, here's $2. Rather than admit that they harmed someone. They just won't admit it. That's how evil they are. Look at all the animals they killed. Look at Dr. Raymond Gilmedy and the hundreds of other research like Loveless, which what a name for a place that tortures animals. Loveless. Great name. You got to be cold-hearted. They must laugh about that every time a new scientist come in there. Oh yeah, Loveless. Yeah, it's an insider joke. Because they killed beagle dogs and beagle puppies. I'm not kidding you. Beagle dogs and beagle puppies for 35 years by making them inhaling plutonium and americium from places that are, nuclear reactors. Scientists may manage Vietnam nuclear waste. What? Because they don't know what to do with it. There's no way to manage it. You don't know what to do with it. Nobody else knows what to do with it. They always say that word, they're going to manage it. You haven't managed anything in 70 years only to kill people and wreck this entire planet and kill off the Pacific Ocean. You killed it. We proved it. Get the door open. As such, storage is not specially designed to keep radioactive waste for long. And all radioactive casts have to be vented. Dana's yelling. You got a party going on just up the road here. Comprehensive evacuation plans needed ahead of a nuclear reactor restart. What for? Because it's like bananas, potato chips, and walking in the sunshine and dental x-rays and getting on an airplane unless a terrorist gets hold of it? Government restarts process to select final nuclear waste storage. No! They're like, fuck it, Yucca Mountain. And then you put everything into one spot, and what happens? Something goes through a chain reaction this year, 100 years, 1,000 years down the road. It's fucking goodbye planet. It's the stupidest thing imaginable. We should feed it to the politicians. We should feed it to the nuclear industry's children and themselves. We should make them put it up there on live TV and watch them fucking die right on the spot. Where should nuclear waste be dumped? Let's put it in Beverly Hills. Let's put it over in Israel. They ain't got no fucking use on the planet. Let's put it over in Japan. They ain't got no use on the planet. To put nuclear waste management in the context, approximately 2,200 metric tons of waste are produced annually. 2,200 metric tons. They produce enough waste to cover 5 of the biggest states in America with 3/4 of an inch of nuclear waste. And if you try to run across it, it'll cook you like a chicken in a microwave. Only quicker. You would live about a minute. Hello, fly. You better get outdoors and start breeding. You're a rare commodity. Officials. Israel thanked the U.S. for blocking the nuclear documents. See what I mean? People say, oh, Danny, too hard on Israel. Don't even get me started. Israel thanks the U.S. for blocking the nuclear document. AP. See, you can't make that up if you wanted to. A senior Israeli official, who doesn't want to be named, says Prime Minister Crazy Man has thanked the U.S. for blocking. And I say crazy because I'm not going to digress, but Israel created 5 million Palestinian refugees just so you can have Israel. You don't think there's going to be blowback from that one? You keep them in concentration camps for 61 years. You don't think at some point they're going to be like, I want to leave. That's what Israel's done. And they brought in 10,000 Hamas to demonize the 1.6 million left. And they can't beat 1.6 million or 10,000 people, but they can imprison 5 million refugees and 1.6 million people, but they can't beat 10,000 people with Kalashnikovs and AK-47s and missiles without bombs on them, without warheads. Do you actually get what's going on? That's how they hoodwinked you. Oh, Hamas is going to get us. You got to kill another couple thousand Palestinians this year. The graveyards are not full of Hamas. They're full of Palestinian children. Period. Anyway, government hiding nuclear power plant costs. Never heard that one before. And it's not like they're hiding a few $100. It's a few $100 billion for each state that they're hiding. Stealing it. They're not hiding it. I guess they're hiding it so they can steal it. So you don't know it's there. That's all they do. They steal all the money because the government just pumps money into that to keep it alive. You can't even insure a nuclear power plant. KI pills distribution coming near Pickering Darlington nuclear plant. They learnt their lesson off Fukushima, where we'll keep the slaves there and make them take their pill. You still got to ingest all the radiation, you fucking morons. It makes me sick. I'm going to have another go at them this week. Nuclear weapons test. Ministry of Defense admits it irradiated civilians in the Cold War. What? They irradiated? They admitted it? Dana, you photoshopped that, you lying sack of shit. It detailed that 174,000 people got fucked up by radiation doses at a number of organizations with nuclear facilities, the power stations and scientific institutions. What's the chance the neighborhood got some of that crap too, or most of it? So there was 174,000 in the plant got poisoned. There's 174 million got poisoned every fucking year in the last 4 years by Fukushima. Period. So 22,000 troops were ordered to watch dozens of atomic blasts and live among the toxic fallout for up to a year afterward. Madam Curie would roll over in her grave on their return to develop cancer, but it wasn't related to living in a fucking nuclear wasteland for a year. No, now they finally admit it. Their wives had 3 times the normal rate of miscarriages, and their children suffered hideous, unimaginable, heartbreaking, just heartbreaking deformities. The nuclear has no remorse. It has no remorse. It understands what it's doing. That's why it's engaged in a constant cover-up. It knows what it's done. It knows it's wrong. It knows it's evil. It just doesn't want you to know, or their children to know, what their parents are like. Bulgaria orders green energy producers to half the output. You're showing up the nuclear industry, make them look bad. Give it up, you little buggers. Stanford hero. Later, there's nothing to fear from fracking. Only the fracking fearmongers themselves. It's just, right? And so there's no balance, no checks and balances anywhere. Your media is disgusting. It's just a PR firm. That's what media is. It's a PR firm. They sold out a long time ago. We're just figuring that out. Unsafe levels of toxic pollution in heavily fracked Ohio country on the same day, I think it was, as this guy. What's the date? May the 24th. Hey, no, fuck. What are you kidding? Look over here. You still looking? Right, that's all they're doing to you. They tell you look over there, and then they stab you to death with stuff that'll kill you in 5, 10, 20 years. So they can make $1. These are most of the wealthiest people in our countries. Anybody who is a shareholder in nuclear is disgusting. Most of them don't even understand what they're invested in. It's the investment funds that are funneling the money in there. Are you helping little children in Africa? You're killing them all. Unsafe levels of toxic pollution. Yeah? Well, so 2.9 in 10,000, and EPA Says 1 in 10,000 is, that's pretty iffy if you get up to that level. But the fracking shows 2.9. That's because they're using uranium. Like, the uranium allows the explosives to be 8, 10, 15 times more powerful. So you take a ton of explosives and 8 or 9 grams of uranium, and it really freaking goes bang. Richland nuclear plant prepares for emergency from terrorist attacks. They've never had a terrorist attack on a nuclear plant, but we burned billions and billions and billions hardening these infrastructures because a terrorist could get you. What do you mean, Dana? I don't know. I thought it was like bananas and potato chips, according to Ken Buesseler and Jay Cullen. Walking in sunshine, dental x-rays, which you turn on, and then you turn it off. And you go home. So, just let me hang on a second. How am I, and I can, if I got to, how can I get rid of this Dana guy, this personality? Can I actually sit here, am I capable of sitting here and reading media like the media reads it without Dana personality? What would be the fucking point if I can't be who I am? See, it's the question. But the point being is we're looking at an extinction event. Point being is that all this stuff you're seeing, none of this is going to come to fruition because Fukushima is going to overshadow it. They can try to just get all these plants up and running, but I mean, the one that came online today has been 36 years in the making, 36 years of construction. It's already useless. It's already outdated. It's already way overfunded. It's already broke the bank. Hanford in the United States will bust America. You would bankrupt America. The entire country would be bankrupt if you tried to clean it up, and you still wouldn't clean it up, but you would bankrupt the country. Trillions and trillions and trillions. You still couldn't clean it up. How come? See, we don't have that problem with coal. Not that coal is the best solution, but it's the solution we got. It's okay. Come up with technology to cure lung cancer from coal, and you'll be fine. You can't come up with technology to cure anything from nuclear because it's never existed in our solar system before. It's not on the periodic table. It's not created by the sun. You won't find it on any of the big rocks flying by. We created those elements by bombarding it with neutrons from a reaction that is not like the sun. The sun creates the elements. We destroy the elements. What we do is unique to us. We know that because we don't see these elements anywhere else in nature or outside of our solar system that we know about. We haven't identified any of these particular isotopes with these types of attributes. Let me go back. Richland nuclear prepares for emergency from terrorist attacks. See, just putting that word there, those connotations over and over and over throughout your media. Industry eyes, 100-year life cycle for nuclear plants. Look at these people. If I was in a restaurant and that critter right there was alongside of me, or that one, I'd be like, I need an adult. Energy industry eyes, 100-year life cycle for nuclear plant. See, this is why we hate their guts. This is why they can't be trusted. The life cycle of a plant is around 30 years, not 100. You can't modify a plant to last for 100 years because the radiation breaks down the structure itself, the cement, the rebar, the steel, the chrome, the stainless steel. It breaks it down on a molecule, on an atomic level. It becomes extremely fragile. It becomes so steel becomes like glass and can shatter like glass, and does. And you just keep producing more radioactive isotopes in our community with the spent fuel pools. Even if you shut down all the nuclear plants. I mean, think about if you had a solar flare and it took out the power grids in America or Canada or any other country with nuclear power plants. You would lose every plant immediately. And that's the end of the planet. Goodbye, planet. It's over. That's the end of it. Within a month, that's the end of the planet. If that was to happen. That's the end of the planet. It's all over. As it is now, it probably won't be much longer because of Fukushima. That's the gallows laugh, I know. But Fukushima is something else. Chernobyl lasted 10 days. It was equal to 400 Hiroshima bombs. You still can't eat the meat in certain parts of the UK and Scotland, and they still can't drink the milk in those places in a lot of spots, and they shouldn't, even though they took a ban off a lot of those areas in 2007. But wait a second, that happened in Ukraine, Dana. How come they can't eat it over there? 'Cause the jet streams are real. Hang on. I'm gonna show you that one more time. One more time. You owe me one more time. And a time. And a time. And so, see, the more that comes out, the more radiation we get in our drinking water standards, and they don't tell you. That's what makes them so evil. They won't say that. They don't put there's 600 bananas in your drinking water. They don't put in there's 500 pounds potato chips in your drinking water. How come? Because there's 2,000 man-made radioactive isotopes in your drinking water. And what they're telling you is only insignificant compared to what's actually there. And we're looking at an extinction event for the entire planet and for every species on it. There's your confirmation. Go over to Health Canada, or just type in on Google the drinking water standards for Canada. Yeah. And that's what you're going to get in the first graph as you go down the page. Not good. Not cool, Dana. Industry, always a 100-year life cycle. They figure they can kill us all by then. They can kill all 8 million species by then. So the flames from Chernobyl, the forest fires, the contaminated smoke. Wait a second. What are you talking about? Carrying radioactive particles? Yeah, but Chernobyl happened a long time ago, Dana. Fucking fearmonger. Ain't no radioactive shit. You probably made that up with Photoshop, Dana. No, I didn't. Researchers, my last one ever hears that one, fears, and I'm a researcher, fears that a shift to a hotter, drier climate in Eastern Europe would increase the frequency of these fires. So they got an exclusion around Chernobyl, but Chernobyl should be, like all of Ukraine should be an exclusion zone. But they won't do that because then people wouldn't want nuclear power no more. They had to do something because they didn't want everybody dying. That would look really bad. So they moved them just to the bare minimum. And then they skewed everybody who ever got cancer after that. The industry found a way to blame it on potato chips and walking in sunshine and dental x-rays, blah, blah, blah. Anything but nuclear. Never blame it on nuclear. But like you see the story earlier about all the soldiers, 170,000 of them were irradiated. They've only admitted that. They won't have to admit much about Fukushima because it's going to be too late. Because they won't do the moral, ethical thing because they're incapable, because they don't have morals and they don't have ethics. Previously, the same researchers found that to reduce microbe activity in areas lead to slower than expected rates of decomposition of dead plant matters. That's off Chernobyl and all the rest of the planet, particularly British Columbia coastline, leading to a buildup of leaf litter, plant debris, and the first flare. Provide more fuel for the radioactive fire. Okay, they didn't say radioactive, but that's what they said at the beginning. I just forgot to put it there. Under climate models that predict a hotter, drier Eastern Europe. I said Europe. In the future, and such forest fires could cause lots of cancers. Rawr. Let me get going. 8:46, I ain't gonna get through this shit. Radioactive risk keeps rising. May 22nd, 2015. What? New Zealand nuclear-free policy and limited effort to influence nuclear powers to disarm did not change a thing. At least our country made some effort, though. Once again, it looks like this year's nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament talks will never end. Told us that bombs are not the only threat, that the world's aging nuclear reactors can't be effectively decommissioned. They can't decommission anything. And if you do go ahead and do something, then you release those radioactive elements into the community. Because you didn't do it right, because there is no right way to do it. And that's what Japan and TEPCO had done to those reactors in Japan. They went in with the cranes and just pulled it and let it fall down and atomize an aerosol back into your communities. And then they burn it in incinerators. They wait till the winds are to the west, and they burn it in the incinerators, and it blows across with the automobile and the forest fire pollution that are 1,000 times bigger than the atoms. But he said, maybe we should have left the bulk of that uranium rightfully in place, tucked safely within Earth's fold where it can do no harm. That can't do you no harm. You can take it out of Earth's fold, it still can't do you no harm. See, and this is where the lie began, right? So he come across as a nice guy, and he said, we know that Madame Marie Curie first discovered the power of the nuclear rays that can travel through solid wood or flesh, and uranium, and was put to good use for medicine and x-rays and photography and cell-destroying cancer treatment. That's not cancer. Using radiation for cancer treatment is murder. 3% of the people that are treated with chemotherapy survive. No one survives any longer than they would have if you didn't get the chemotherapy. So the chemotherapy is murder. All radiation treatment at hospitals is pure murder. They got to kill every cell in your body, and that's why your hair falls out, in the hopes they got all the cancer cells. It's the most insidious, disgusting, demented thing imaginable. And the reason they're allowed to get away with it is because these people are considered terminally ill, or they sign away their rights, and they use these concoctions. None of them are meant to help you. They can't do that with the same thing that's killing you. It doesn't work that way. But because where else you're going to turn to? You're led to believe that that's the ones you're supposed to trust and have faith in. But what they do is they lie to you till the end of time. I'll show you. Watch this. 11 years later, we had a new use for uranium warfare. Atomic bombs were dropped on Japan, and many died from another terrible form of radiation exposure. The nuclear arms race commenced, and uranium mining began in earnest. Never stopped, and they wreck everything to get their hands on it. They wreck the entire environment to get their hands on it, and they use more equipment than any coal mine could ever use to get their hands on it. Much more sophisticated, much more money, much more land and area, much more authority. They take what they want. They displace communities to get at it, to make more evil. And every molecule brought to the surface is a threat to life. See? Emitting. Hang on. Now the world has many hundred tons of nuclear waste, no way to get rid of it. Many disposal attempts have been made and suggested, but it is with us still. The U.S. placed nuclear waste in 55-gallon drums and other containers and pitched them into the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. See, he sounds like a good guy, right? So the United Kingdom contemplated incineration as a fast reactor. And you can't incinerate radiation, you just liberate it back into the environment. It's created already in the bowels of hell. You can't dispose of it. If you can incinerate it, there wouldn't be an issue. They were going to do it because people were pretty gullible back then. They couldn't look it up and figure it out on their own. Or an outer space nuclear waste repository on the moon has been suggested. Why would you do something like that? Why would you put it into space where it does absolutely never belonged? It doesn't come from. The latest from the U.S. is that the radioactive material can be responsibly and securely tucked away inside the Yukon Mountain. How? And securely. And so the terrorists don't get it, because the name they get is not like a banana and potato chips no more. Nevada for some 10,000 years, till the end of time. 10,000 years. And they're still making it all day, every day, and trying to build more reactors to make more of it, and dumping more of it into the ocean, releasing more of it into your community. You want to build more reactors, release more into your community. And there's nothing on the planet that can live in harmony with this. Yeah, I got a bird's nest here on the edge of the house. And it's pretty cool. It may not all be so bad. Listen to this one. Radioactive material occurs naturally in soil, rocks, water, air, and vegetation. We inhale and ingest it daily in minute amounts. See, why put that in there? Everything on the planet is acclimated to that through genetic superior selection. That's not man-made radiation. You put that in there to confuse the living fuck out of everybody on this planet. You prick. You useless prick. Our mining of uranium and other activities, radioactive groundwater brought about by fracking leaks and dumping from nuclear power stations, Obviously, I'll increase this threshold. It's not the same threshold. It's a biological, chemical weapon. These are not the same elements. They have been modified. It's no different than GMO food. It was modified. It's fucking bad for you. Anyway, I'm going to jump. Whip seeks public comments. I'll give you a public comment, you fucks. Right, they showed everybody models of a banana, of the radioactive releases. That was the only model we seen of a banana. They can't help it, they're so evil, they can't switch it off. I got a public comment for you. That you lied to everybody. That you manipulated everybody in that community. That you deceived everybody from the get-go. That you rolled out Irene Williams, the iPhone licking lady. You get more radiation from licking your iPhone than you would from whip. And you run out John Neal from Oklahoma's university, who said you get more radiation from a banana than you could from whip's releases. They roll out all these fluffers, these cakewalkers, these are the people that we're supposed to be able to trust. I mean, John Neal is a sitting professor in the University of Oklahoma. But I mean, you got to think about Oklahoma's got, in Oklahoma they got McAllister with an A rather. Now that city, bomb manufacturing facility only makes dirty bombs. That's all they make is dirty bombs. If a terrorist gets their hands on it, it's a dirty bomb. We use it. We're liberating the victims from a tyrannical government and giving them cancers, making sure that everything is polluted in their communities because we shot it into every house and school and food distribution place and into their field and into their water for 9 years. They went into Iraq, they fired 5.5 million bullets a month. Half of that was dirty bombs. For every month for 9 years to get 10,000 gangbangers, 10,000 Taliban. 29,000 rapes a year in the military to get 10,000 gangbangers in some other country. 5 million orphans in Afghanistan to get 10,000 gangbangers. 20,000 drone strikes to get 10,000 gangbangers in another country. 6 million in refugee camps, 4 million missing, 2 million dead, millions of widows, millions and millions of orphans. To get 10,000 gangbangers, right? So the nuclear industry, the war machine are all connected. Lessons learned at Fukushima could apply to former Silkwood site in Oklahoma. And so the Silkwood site, let me see if I can get back on track here. But anyway, the Silkwood site, you want to do an experiment there. They already just settled $5 billion to help settle claims and clean up the site. $5 billion. How many coal mines had to pay out that? You know what I mean? But they say it's carbon free, but look, $5 million. Do you know how much carbon was created to make that $5 million? A lot, hopefully, because that'll help the plants grow. But the Rectorial is what I'm talking about, right? They say it's carbon free. Nothing is carbon free. Particularly plants that take 36 years to make. How is that carbon free? And you got to have plugged into the grid in order to get power. That's fucking stupid. I'm almost here. Stopping the Great Lakes radioactive dumps. Canada don't know what to do with their shit. They're crazy and they want to dump it next to the Great Lakes because they figure anything that will leach into it, and it will. They admit that. But the lake is so big, it's 20% of the fresh water on the planet, that it'll dilute it. You take the atom, you put 2 million on the head of a needle. You take one of those atoms, put it in a glass of water, you'll kill all the creatures in it. Dump it in another glass, it'll kill all the creatures in it. Dump it in another glass, that one atom. So if you release it into the lake, and you disperse it throughout the lake, then you'll kill everything in the lake. Nothing on this planet has ever encountered these atoms before. That's why they're supposed to be in a waste site. Radioactive dump. See, just the word dump. Just dump it. Not a radioactive waste, radioactive dangerous radioactive contamination site, but a radioactive dump. Right? And this is something we see all the time. People can't help it. They say stuff like that. You know, they claim it could cost $1 billion, but they also admit that they're going to add more to it and more highly contaminated stuff to it in the near future when they do get it. Once they get it, they're going to start loading heavier and more contaminated stuff into it. So if you've got radioactive materials in a tank, it settles on the bottom and creates a little chain reaction, burns a hole through the bottom. And then all hell breaks loose after that. That's how this works. All the tanks at Hanford had that happen to them. Not all of them, but the majority of them got holes in it from that particular reason. And the company secretively plans to double the dump's already gigantic capacity once the initial plan has been approved to bury highly radioactive decommissioning waste. It's not waste. It's hell on earth. It's the worst thing imaginable. And by the way, before I forget, a nun just got out of jail, and for some reason I can't remember her name, but I think about her every day. That's embarrassing. I've been reading story after story about her. Hopefully I got a story coming up here about her. And Miss Melky just put up an interview of her on her channel a few hours ago, and I still haven't got to it, but I'll get there. The Great Nuclear Heist, and I'm sure it's going to be a doozy, and the two other activists. And, my jeez, I can't remember her name. Because I'm thinking of Sister Jackie, another nun, Sister Jackie. I was trying to remember her name earlier today, and that's where I probably got lost on it. I'll check the comment section. Somebody will put it there in a second for me. The nun's name, Miss Melky got up there on her site. Sister Megan Rice, Candace. Megan Rice, Miss Melky. Yeah, I apologize to... Just because it came off my head, I couldn't remember, but I wanted to mention it. How important that is, that interview. I haven't listened to it, but her words are very powerful. She sacrificed it all. And she's been arrested many times. She's been to jail many times. She doesn't care. She refuses to give up. And she took it to the levels that are unimaginable. And she done the best she could. And that is enough. Trust me. That's enough to admiration. And Sister Megan Rice didn't deserve that. And she is still sitting there on a fence wondering, because they got up until I think it's June the 22nd to retry these people for doing something that was morally and ethically, that had to get done. That the system itself can never change unless people like that exist. The system itself people can never wake up unless people like that exist. People can never have a future unless we exist. We all exist and fight for it and demand it and get and expose. Like the biggest thing we can do is expose the people like Ken Buesseler and Jay Cullen that are lying to our children and are allowed to get away with it, and try to hold them accountable. And then all the other dominoes will fall behind it. They're all going to fall because it's Fukushima anyway. In the next 2 or 3 years, at the most. And it's going to be a completely different planet. By the end of this year, it's going to be a completely different planet. There's no doubt about that. People are waking up, accelerating now. And so all this posturing about more nuclear, the great nuclear heist is upon us, we're toast. The alarms have all been tripped. All of them. This isn't the familiar daily smash and grab. This is huge. A heist ain't all heist. We go to our windows careful to stay at a site that's still far away, but the first reports are already flickering like sparks from a bulldozed lamppost. They're working on an international scale. The Russians are involved. They have earth movement equipments and engineers. They even got nuclear scientists. And they hit the mother lode. It's going to take decades for them to cart off all that cash. We know what we're seeing because we saw a proper heist once back in 1999. This one's much, much bigger, but our response is the same. We just stand at the window twitching the curtains, angrily saying that someone should do something. Not us, because what can we do? But someone like the police or somebody, do something. They know we're watching, but they don't care. We're just scenery to them now. A fleeting impression to be remembered one day when they're lying on their private beaches laughing about the old days when they were making their pile. Remember when you and me and Skippy took the side road and there was that newspaper editor standing there going, "Stop thief! I just saw an open mouth with a wagon figure." God, he looked so angry. "Stop thief! Shame! I wonder what happened to that guy." Maybe once they feared us, feared that someone would be a hero and try to get in their way, like Sister Megan Rice. But they needn't have worried. In 1999 we shouted and pointed, but we didn't actually do anything. Megan Rice did. Even our angriest words were polite. Not me. I'll never be accused of that one. Arms deal, our newspaper called it, as if something equivocal has been arrived at, as if all that money had somehow bought something worthwhile, as if a heist could be a deal. That's when they learn that we're just mannequins in our windows. We shout things like, "Pay back the money!" and "Consult us before you pay Russia to build 6 nuclear power stations." But they know we don't mean it. If we meant it, we'd be massing outside the fences, shaking the gates, dragging them out in their pajamas. Instead, we're arguing about whether Danny Jordan's a good goalie or a good man for the mayor. They can relax. He won't sell you out. He'll do anything. That was that mayor at the beginning of it. I bet you he was talking about. I can go on and on, but I won't. 13 million housing plan next to a nuclear dump. There's the word again, dump. Nuclear dump. It's a nuclear murder site. That's the proper word for it. It's a site that murders everything and everybody till the end of time. It's a site that was never meant to be on our planet. It's a site that has no right to be the future of our planet. And it's a site that is emblematic of our entire planet at this stage because of Fukushima. That's what Fukushima has done. Fukushima has ended everything. Just like the end of this video. So UOS students regale the public on the nuclear reactors. That's the last one of the night. And they done that because people down in the UAE don't know anything about reactors. So they wanted to tell them all about the bananas and the potato chips and the walking in the sunshines and the dental x-rays and blah, blah, blah. And never tell them that this stuff has no purpose on our planet. And that all it does is irradiates our entire planet and all the water in our troposphere, which is an ocean, and that rains into our communities, and we have these things show up till the end of time. These are man-made radioactive elements in your drinking water from Fukushima. All these other nuclear plants are hemorrhaging into your community. All of them are destroying the eggs, the larvae, in the million gallons a minute they boil. All of them have to lie and tell you it's like a potato chip and walking in sunshine and dental x-rays and getting on an airplane for that to exist. All of them have to lie to you. And the two biggest ones out there are Jay Cullen from the University of Victoria in British Columbia, Canada. And you should call that university tomorrow and the next day and tell the dean you want that man out of your institution. You want to restore the integrity of that institution by removing that, or you're going to have a problem with him. And you need to call him up every day till Jay is gone. You know, that's what you have. That's your job. That's everybody on this planet's job. Everybody who's watching this video's job. You know, I have come out and showed you everything imaginable about these people. I have drawn the line in the sand in my own personal life, and I won't walk over that line. And that line is that when I see a mass murderer, I call him exactly that, you're a mass murderer. And I disrespect you for that. Jay Cullen and Ken Buesseler. And Ken Buesseler is probably the worst thing on the planet. These are the people that get all the traction in media and tell your children, your friends, your loved ones, your communities and your media is that there's nothing to worry about when there really truly is. That the reactors really did melt down, and that Chernobyl only lasted 10 days but was equal to 400 Hiroshima bombs, and that Fukushima didn't stop. 1,600 days later, still hemorrhaging. Multiply that by 400 Hiroshima bombs every 10 days, and each reactor is 3 times the size of Chernobyl. Each reactor is 100% meltdown. Chernobyl was only a 30% meltdown. Take out your calculators when this video is over and do your math. And see the urgency that we see. And see the common sense that we see. And see the proper balances, the checks and balances that we see that have to be enforced. It's not too late to try. Because that's all we got left is to try. At least we could do that. We're capable of it. We deserve one more chance. The planet doesn't deserve to be wiped out. It's not right. Hugs for everybody. Sean can't surf. Nuts for art. Good night, everybody. Kate, Stacy, and everybody else. BK Lewis, Fix It Stupid. Elaine, I didn't see her tonight. Hope you're feeling okay, honey. Everybody else, Whiz Kidding. We got lots of people there I didn't get around to saying hi to. And I know the video's a long one. That's because I only get a video out every 2 or 3 days. And tomorrow I won't have any bandwidth to go looking for stuff. And so, in between uploads, I'll stop and download some stuff so I can read why I'm uploading more pictures. And that's what the next weeks will be like for me all day, every day. And at the same time, every chance I get, I'll get the operation, back ready to go for the next kick, the last kick, hopefully, at the can. And we have to finish this trip out. So the pictures are being uploaded at nuclearproctologist.org. I still haven't got the links, but they're on all my other videos. I'll get them there shortly, hopefully. I'm going to go get a cup of tea. Hugs for everybody. Just keep the faith, folks. We're doing the right thing. And we're gonna get this right, okay? This is our year, period. That's a fact.